Hey guys, I'm going to be doing a Filipino food tier list here so I can show off like what I feel like is the best Filipino food out there because you know us, we love Filipino food and it's an amazing diverse piece of culture here with tons of food with variety. So we should probably start off with the roast caldo, the infamous roast caldo. Uh, the thing about caldo is that after you eat it and you just do it for like a leftover, the thing gets pretty stale. You know, it gets pretty um, not that good. But in total flavor itself, it's really just rice with seasoning and a little bit of a garnish. So it's not really your run of the mill thing. I think an E tier would be great for this one. And the next one being babinka. To be honest, babinka is like a really good dessert. It's really versatile and it tastes sweet and it has a flavor to it that's really unique. I can't really put my mind to it onto what that flavor is really, but it just has that fresh desserty taste that's also kind of glutinous and just it's pretty run of the mill kind of tasty staple. And I would say right here on the C tier would be the best spot for it. Now, moving on to the most controversial foods out there for Filipinos, it's the balut. You know, everyone talks about the balut. They talk about how it's one of the best food here in Philippines, or it's one of the worst for foreigners to eat because of how disgusting it is. I remember eating it, and I'll be honest with you, it's not really the best. It's kind of just like kind of salty. It's got like a weird taste to it. That's just F tier. I'm sorry. Um, Now here's a weird one. I don't know why I put this in here, but I kind of did have the need to talk about this. Is the banana ketchup? The banana ketchup is infamous, like for the Philippines. It's like the sweetest ketchup you'll see around. If you thought tomato ketchup was sweet, this is sweeter. Um, it's not really that good, but I'd say it's better than balut, so it's gonna be definitely E tier. I wouldn't put this on every food I've seen in my whole plate or anything like that. I would just keep it to the side. Um, the next thing is going to be pico. Pico is has like some kind of rice feel to it. Has that ricey texture. It's sweet. It's great. It's a staple basically when it comes to sweets. Um, the more known one being cassava cake. Cassava cake is amazing. Cassava itself is just not really that good, but then putting it in cake form of baking it just makes it 100 times better. This is a B tier staple when it comes to dessert. The next one I've noticed, which is also a really good kind of staple in the Philippines, is chicharron. Chicharron is amazing. Like it's basically you put it on anything. You put it on palabok, you put it on like pancit. You just put it on anything you want. It's almost kind of like a condiment if you tell me. But really, it being so versatile makes it A tier right away. It's also really tasty by itself. You know, even though it may not just be a Filipino thing, it's still an amazing dish. Now, moving on, we're gonna go for the chicken afritada. Chicken afritada is really good. Only if you can make it right, you know, like the peas and all that, all the vegetables. If you just get like canned vegetables, like some families do, it's not gonna be that good, you know. And it's just got to be basically a normal kind of staple, you know, in the Philippines. It's one of those foods where you just eat. Now moving on to the infamous chicken joy. You know, I had to put it in the list. It's just one of the most infamous foods out there that basically everyone eats when they go to the local Jollibee in your area. This right here, this is just this is S tier. It really is. It's S tier. Chicken joy is just too good. You eat it, especially with the gravy. You eat it, and it gives you like the combo with the rice. You eat that, and you're basically fine for the whole like duration of your visit over there in Jollibee, you're just fine. You got the chicken joy. uh, Moving on, you have the ding ding. It's a pretty good. It's pretty good, I'd say. Eating it with the fish though, with that weird kind of texture in between, kind of feeling like a fried fish vibe to it, and eating that kind of like base with it as well. Usually with those veggies, they just kind of don't really mix for me. It kind of makes it odd. It's not really a staple, but I'd say it does deserve the D tier as not being normal, but kind of below average when it comes to the Filipino vibe. Because Filipino is all about the sweets and all about the good meats. And here we go again. This is the one of the most infamous pieces of food out there for Filipinos is dinuguan. It is a really good staple in the Philippines with that pig blood. If you can get over the pig blood, I'd say this is a easy A tier. It's got everything for it. It's got the meat. It's got that savory sweetness. What else can you ask for? You know. Moving on, one of my most favorites right here. It's the egg roll. I know that the Philippines didn't invent the egg roll, but many Filipino families, especially mine when I was growing up, we make egg rolls, and it's one of the best Asian cuisines out there. It's basically a staple, and I think it deserves the A tier, not S tier, because some families, they make really small egg rolls that I feel like they didn't even like try on, and then they cook it and it tastes really bad. So you basically have to make sure that you're making the egg rolls good. So moving on, we got empatido. Empatido is like basically an egg roll if it wasn't wrapped, and it has those raisins that just give that elevated sweetness to it, and the carrots and the onions that just go together. And especially since it's steamed cooked, it's one of the more healthier options on this list. So I'd say it would be a measly above average B tier. And then now we have empanada. Empanadas are really good. They're sweet, they're soft, they're basically street food that you would just find in the Philippines. That's how staple like it is. And I'd say it's above average, B tier. So moving on, we have ensamada. Ensamada is like basically one of the most sweetest rolls out here. It's got that cheese, it's got that melt in your mouth kind of feel, almost like a cinnamon roll, but if it was Filipino. So honestly, this right here is a staple. It's a C tier. And now we have the Filipino spaghetti. The thing about Filipino spaghetti is that it's sweet. It's really sweet. It's one of the sweetest spaghettis you'll find, actually. And because of that, it's really unique. Especially when you go to your local Jollibee and you get some. It's basically like a craving, you know? It's a craving for all Filipinos. Easily an A tier. Macaroni. So, talking about macaroni, it's amazing. It's no culture has ever made a macaroni dish that's just so sweet that it literally looks like some kind of Lucky Charms cereal almost. So it's definitely not average, but it's definitely above average, being amazing, especially if you have it as a leftover. It's great. And moving on, we have ginetang. Ginetang is like pretty mushy, you know. It has those kind of tasty elements to it with the yams and everything. But when you think about the texture itself, it's really weird, you know. It's kind of out there. It's not really the best. It doesn't deserve staple wise, but it does deserve below average. You know, I would eat it, but I wouldn't eat it every day. Now, moving on to one of the most infamous Filipino foods again, we got halo halo. So, all the other Asian countries, they got their boba, but we got our halo halo. Oh man, halo halo, it's amazing. It's really a staple. But it just doesn't deserve C tier because it's just too good, Every Filipino knows what it is. It's just great all around dessert. S tier. So moving on, We have the caldereta, and we're gonna be counting it as the goat variant, where it's served with goat. I've had this multiple times in my life, but I'm gonna be honest with you. The texture when it's with the goat and everything, it just doesn't sit well. Like when you eat it, it just doesn't feel as good. Even the apretada just tastes more, if you could say, normal to me. And this variant just of caldereta just doesn't really sit well. It's an E tier, but it doesn't sit with the balut because balut is it's definitely an F tier, especially for people that are not Filipino. uh, Now going on with one of my favorites is kare kare. Kare kare is amazing. Like you can have this with like basically some rice and like you'll be set. You could just eat this with your hands and oh, it's amazing. The eggplants, the beef stew feel, especially with the peanut butter taste. Like you would never know that peanut butter would taste so good. You know, it's definitely an S tier. It's just too good. You can't live without it. Now let's go with leche flan. Leche flan is it's really soft like a pancake, melt in your mouth feel. It's really good. I'd say it's a really good staple, C tier, not bad. Now here we go. So lechon. Lechon is one of the best foods out there. Like it really is. The pig that's just cooked, like you go into the house and you see it in the Philippines and then you come back, it's basically not there anymore, especially the crunchy skin, of the pig. It's like in basically every party in the Philippines. It's just amazing. It's definitely gonna have to go in A tier. I mean S tier. S tier being the best of the best. Now let's go with the longanisa, another infamous Filipino food. It's basically one of those staples that you see kids eating. They also have some more sweeter versions and like hot dogs and all that. But in general, it's one of the most sweetest sausages you'll see. It's sometimes it's just too sweet for me that I can't really eat it because it's just too sweet. You just get tired of that sweet taste. But once in a while, it's not that bad. C tier. And now we're going with the even more sweeter things in the Filipino sides. We got lumpia. I would count this as kind of like a side dish, but it's amazing, especially if you have some shrimp in there. And the sauce that goes with it, it's just sweet, It's everything in this kind of Filipino culture is just sweet. It's amazing. It really is. It's above average, being a B tier. Now, here we go. We got palabok, another Filipino staple. Palabok is not just a staple, but it's basically what we call almost like the Filipino noodle. This is the noodle that you would eat in the Philippines, and you would see it everywhere. It's amazing. You could put chicharron on it and everything. That's why I'm gonna put it above chicharron. Actually, it's gonna be S tier. It's just too damn good. You just can't leave home without a good palabok, in your belly. The other noodle being pancit or pancit, it's just amazing. Like I said, I'm Filipino, so a lot of these foods are gonna be kind of high tier, but just pancit is another signature. You gotta have this. It's better than the spaghetti because, like I said, there's more combinations you could put on it, and it's gonna go landing on my S tier. And now we have the buko ice cream or the pandan. Pandan ice cream, pandan flavor itself is just really good. I don't know why, but it just feels like a mix of coconut and like some kind of bamboo taste. I haven't ate bamboo, but don't question me. It just reminds me of bamboo because it's green. It's probably a better taste than ice cream, maybe even more than pistachio. It's definitely a B tier. It's above average. Now, let's go with the average staple here in a Filipino household. It's the pandesal. You cannot have a Filipino household without pandesal. Pandesal is literally in every Filipino household, and it's just a pure staple. It's in that C tier. Now, we're gonna move on to the panakbet. Panakbet, it's really good, if you can get over the sourness of it, it kind of has that big sour feel to it. Not really a big fan of sour things, so I'd say it's definitely on D tier. It's a staple though, yes, but you gotta make sure that it's not too sour, and I would enjoy it, I'd say. And another staple in the Philippines, puto, really good dessert. Also means a bad word in Spanish, but because it means a bad word in Spanish, we might as well make it way better onto the A tier because it's a staple, really good dessert, alongside with the casaba and the macaroni. We got the shopao. Shopao. Well, it's basically served everywhere. We got the 7-Elevens, we got the streets. They serve it everywhere. Shopao is just amazing. You either be chicken, pork, or anything in there. It will taste good, and you can guarantee it. It's also sweet as well, which makes it more than a staple. Actually, it makes it a B tier. It's above average. Now going on with the infamous food, sinigang. Now sinigang, you eat this, and you're automatically gonna be 100% Filipino. Like you're gonna taste the Filipino. It's S tier. It's just that good. You eat it, and you'll feel good. Moving on, we have tinola. Tinola also, like I said, is kind of has that sour taste to me. It has like kind of no taste sometimes for me, depending on how you cook it. It's really not the best, I'd say. I'll eat it, but like it's not the best. E tier. Now, let's go on with tocino. Now, tocino rivals the way that the sweetness scale is, because you wouldn't expect it to be sweet, because when you look at it, it looks like barbecue, but it is. It's like basically longanisa sweet, but most of the time, not really some, but most of the time, it's sweeter than longanisa. So I'd say that it would have to be D tier, because the sweeter it is, it kind of gets overwhelmingly sweet, where you can't really eat it without enjoying it in like abundance. Plus, it's way more chunkier and harder to eat than longanisa. Longanisa is just compact and it's soft, and tocino is just kind of like its weird stepbrother. Now, we have to go obviously with the eggplant torta. This is amazing after you barbecue an eggplant and cook it with some egg. It goes good with some soy sauce or some suka or vinegar. It's definitely not a staple, but I'd say it is an above average side meal. Now, here's the thing, toron. Toron, it's amazing. It's banana in kind of like an egg roll shell, crunchy, sweet, and it has some brown sugar. Yeah, it's amazing. It's above average, A tier, way more above average actually. And to end it off, we have the ube ice cream. Now, ube ice cream, it's an amazing ice cream, just like pandan, but it's definitely way better than pandan. It's way better. It's like top notches better. It's definitely an A tier food. So this is my list for the Filipino tier list for food. Try to see if you guys can make your own food tier list, but in my opinion, this is the list for me, my go-to Filipino snacks and meals. So have a good one.